they're shattering the rules all around the way this government works. I mean, and I think Donald Trump to go, listen, let's get back to normalcy. Let's get back to actually respecting each other.
How big Arnold Palmer was? Are you kidding me, Sean?
Wait, listen, we're talking about how the...
No. You tell me if Joe Biden had stood up there and said, you know, I saw Arnold Palmer in a shower once, and boy, that guy's got it going on down there. What would you have said? That he wasn't fit to lead?
That doesn't affect the way the government works, the way the government functions.
That you have an insane person as the head of the government? And when you say we shatter the norms, maybe the guy who got indicted is the one that shattered the norms.
Maybe it's the lawfare that was used to indict him on bogus charges.
It's typical. Tone down the rhetoric as Trump calls Americans the enemy within. Bring back some normalcy as he daydreams about Arnold Palmer's penis. Kamala never worked at a McDonald's, but somehow this guy did.
Either way, will you accept the results of the election?
Yeah, sure. If it's a fair election, I would always accept it if it's got to be a fair election. We're leading in all the polls now. We're leading in every swing state, and we're doing well. And it's no, I don't think so. In fact, they just had an RCP said we're 93.2% chance of winning. I think that's pretty good.
Normalcy, like refusing to accept the results of an election unless he deems it fair. It's about as ridiculous as his stunt standing in the drive-thru window of that McDonald's that shut down so he could play dress-up for a couple of hours. We plan to be closed on Sunday, October 20th until 4 p.m. to accommodate a visit at the request of former President Trump and his campaign. While we are not a political organization, we proudly open our doors to everyone. And as a locally owned and operated location, this visit provides a unique opportunity to shine a light on the positive impact of small businesses here in Festerville. We're equally honored to share the significance of what 1 in 8 Americans have experienced, that a job at McDonald's is more than just a job. It's a pathway to critical skills development and meaningful career opportunities, etc., etc. I've been here for 30 years. My bad for the inconvenience. Donald Trump is such an unserious person. Closing down a McDonald's to pass fries out to campaign staffers after practice run-throughs through the drive-thru is considered a good day.
What did you think of Trump at McDonald's, which we just showed some clips of earlier?
I thought it was great. I thought it was a smart move. Look, he's better off not being in front of a rally. What was the message for yesterday? Donald Trump doing a blue-collar job, trying to contrast himself with her, raising questions about whether or not she did. But mostly it was Donald Trump as a human being relating to people in a fun way, unlike the day before in which we got to talk about Arnold Palmer's genitalia. I mean, that was a good message. He's got to be more disciplined like he was yesterday.
Let's pause for a second and think about the fact that Karl Rove is forced to congratulate a former president for being disciplined enough to not talk about anyone's penis for a day, and instead relate to the people by acting like he's working at a McDonald's. More of that will show people that your economic plan that's been deemed a disaster by every economist is actually a good thing. That your promise to deport black and brown immigrants that are in the country legally isn't wildly un-American. Or that your vow to arrest women for seeking reproductive and life-saving care somehow isn't radical. This 78-year-old cosplaying as a fast food worker set the bar so low, his enablers and yes men are clapping that he didn't put the fries in the drink cup. How is this not the pinnacle of mediocrity?
Also, throughout the past week, he keeps coming back. He's asked about these enemies within comments. And I've read all of it. I've listened to all of it. It's hard for me to know what he really means about it. But that's not my question. My question is, why is it necessary?
Well, Bill, first of all, Donald Trump is unfiltered. I think this is one of the reasons why the campaign has gone well is because he's not doing a basement campaign strategy. He's not just running on slogans. When people ask him questions, he speaks from the heart. And sometimes that means he's going to talk about issues that the mainstream media isn't focused on.
Again, that's not the flex that you think it is. All Vance did was let us know that when it comes to speaking from the heart, Trump's heart is about division and conflict with Americans that don't agree with him, in hopes of using that power to punish them. The only objective is to normalize his extreme behavior.
An armed gunman was arrested and charged with making threats against FEMA workers.
2 Saturdays ago, FEMA had a safety stand down because of these credible threats. Is it helping the recovery effort in North Carolina to keep making these claims that FEMA's not doing their job?
Well, I think you have to let people know how they're doing. If they were doing a great job, I think we should say that too, because I think they should be rewarded. But if they're not doing, does that mean that if they're doing a poor job, we're supposed to not say it? These people are entitled to say it. And these are honest people behind us. If FEMA were doing well, they would be saying they did a good job.
Are we seeing the theme here? When FEMA workers' lives are at risk over his lies about the government targeting just his supporters somehow, he doesn't give a damn. But when he's in danger, he wants Secret Service employees fired and demands his opponents stop highlighting his vicious behavior so that no more gunmen that once supported him will plot to shoot him. And what's telling is that his dismissal of these threats doesn't match up with J.D. Vance's attempt to solely blame Harris and give FEMA workers a break from their aggression.
I want to go back to what former President Trump said. He said they're going out of their way to not help people in Republican areas. There is no truth to that. And on staging, Pentagon officials say that active duty troops were staged and ready to go before being called upon and were instantly out the door. So President Trump, former President Trump, is saying things that aren't true about that money being withheld from Republican areas.
Well, Martha, I think you're actually confusing staging of resources from the rapid response of the U.S. military. I mean, look, in FEMA's defense, there are things after this hurricane that FEMA simply could not do. You actually need military command and control. You need military resources deployed to the area. And I think all the president has said is, frankly, what some of Kamala Harris's surrogates have said, which is that if these areas were a little bit more democratic, maybe Kamala Harris would have focused on them more. That acknowledgement is not to attack, frankly, the good folks of FEMA. It's to suggest that Americans are feeling left behind by their government, which they are, Martha.
Everything he screws up or lies about is covered for by his enablers, which only encourages him to lie even more brazenly, knowing that there aren't any consequences for it. They're protecting a petulant child that uses important life or death circumstances as promotional tools.
And so they tightened it up a little bit. Oh, look, our numbers are a little bit better. Look, oh, Trump stopped the bill. He told the Senate, Ted, did I ever tell you not to sign that bill? No, right? I didn't tell anybody to, but they like that. Trump stopped. I sort of liked it. It gives you such power. You know, you come from Queens, and now I'm calling for the, you will not sign that bill, senators. You will not. They have me calling up, you will not sign that bill. Actually, I like that sort of. Maybe I should go along with that. Sorry, Ted. That's something, nobody's had that kind of power in a long time, right?
He just lies for the sake of escaping accountability every time. He couldn't even hold that one for longer than 10 seconds before celebrating the control that he's got over Republicans in Congress. Representative Niels told us himself.
Everything that we do in the House of Representatives should be in the best interest of getting Donald Trump reelected. This guy right here. Everything that we do in the House of Representatives should be in the best interest of getting Donald Trump reelected.
Everything. So Niels and Senator Lankford must be lying, right?
It's your colleagues in your party, sir, who torpedoed this, who didn't get the facts right on what you just outlined was in that measure. They killed it. Ironically, not Democrats.
Right. It was, and it was painful to be able to watch it. It got stirred up in all the presidential politics, and several of my colleagues started looking for ways. After President Trump said, don't fix anything during the presidential election. It's the single biggest issue during the election. Don't resolve this. We'll resolve it next year. Quite a few of my colleagues backed up, looked for a reason to be able to shoot against it, and then walked away.
Facts and recent history of his own words are meaningless when he's got supporters that simply don't care that he just says what he needs to escape accountability. It's made him expect everyone to live in his warped world of accomplishments, or else you're the enemy.
I'm the greatest president there's ever been. I said, what about George Washington? Nah, you're better. What about Lincoln? What about Abraham Lincoln? Nope, you're better. They said I'm tougher on the border than Abraham Lincoln, right? Than Honest Abe.